Let not my love be called idolatry, nor my beloved as an idol show, since all alike my songs and praises be to one, still such and ever so. Kind is my love today, tomorrow kind, still constant in a wondrous excellence. Therefore, my verse, to constancy confined, one thing expressing, leaves out difference. Fair, kind, and true is all my argument. Fair, kind, and true, varying to other words. And in this change is my invention spent. Three themes in one, which wondrous scope affords. Fair, kind, and true have often lived alone, which three till now have never kept seat in one. Sonnet number 55, written by William Shakespeare. Today is the birthday of that great playwright in English, whose contribution to English and to the world of literature is marvelous. And on the occasion of his birthday, we celebrate today as English Language Day. So I wish you all a very happy English Language Day. May we all get great results. May we all get great chances to explore this beautiful language. In the last lecture, I have taught you about the characters of Dushyanta and Shakuntala, which are the major characters in this drama. Today, it will be on the discussion of the other important characters, which are minor characters, of course, not as important as Dushyanta or Shakuntala, but still they are very important characters. The other characters that we are going to discuss today are Priyamvada and Anasuya, who are the friends of Shakuntala, and Vidushaka, who is friend to Dushyanta, Kanvarushi, Gautami, who is a female senior ascetic, she is like a motherly figure in the drama, and Maricha, the father of Indra, is a divine sage, Matali, Sanumati, Menaka, the fisherman, and Sutradhara. Of course, about Sutradhara I have already told in the first class. So these are the other characters which are important in the drama Abhignana Shakuntala. What about the characters of Priyamvada and Anasuya? As their name goes, they are very gentle and sweet friends to Shakuntala, and they are all the time always moving with Shakuntala. Whenever she is in the garden, they are with her, and they also act like her friendly advisors. And at certain moments you feel that they are also helping her out to express her feelings of love for Dushyanta in one or the other way. They also become informers about Shakuntala to Dushyanta. They become like the links. They play their linking role here. To facilitate the communication between Dushyanta and Shakuntala, they play a great role here. It is in fact through Anasuya, Dushyanta comes to know about the background of this beautiful woman, Shakuntala. She tells him how she is the foster daughter of Kanvarshi, how she is actually the daughter of Vishwamitra and Menaka. So she, in fact, it is the friend Anasuya who tells about Shakuntala to Dushyanta. Later, Priyamvada's role becomes important in act number 4. So you see the active role of these characters, that is Priyamvada and Anasuya, is there in act number 1, 3 and 4. Later their role is not seen because the drama shifts to the king's palace. Earlier, now it is happening in act number 1, 2, 3, 4. It is happening in the hermitage of Kanva, where these are the assistants or these are friends to Shakuntala in that particular ashram. So Priyamvada's role becomes important in the act number 4, wherein Shakuntala is unaware of the guest who has come. We know Durvasa had come as the guest when Kanva was not there in the ashram, and it was Shakuntala's duty to take care of the guests. She forgot to show hospitable treatment to Durvasa, and he gets angry and he curses Shakuntala. But Shakuntala did not know anything about this. Priyamvada plays a very important, crucial role here, and she proves that she is a really good friend of Shakuntala. In the original story, it is not told in this way. In the original story, Shakuntala is well aware of the curse that is given to her by Durvasa. But here, to show the role of friendship in one's life, Priyamvada is shown as important there by Kalidasa. So what she does is, when Durvasa is angry and he gives curse to Shakuntala, she goes and she hides this curse from Shakuntala, because if she tells this, Shakuntala would be unhappy. But she can't even hide it completely. She wants to know if there is any solution to this curse, or if there is any recovery possible out of this curse. So what she does is, now she is aware, Priyamvada is aware of the curse, and she herself goes and requests to Durvasa to give a cure to this curse. And she tells the whole thing about Shakuntala, why she forgot to treat him with hospitality. She tells him everything, and Durvasa shows some kindness, shows some courtesy to Priyamvada, and tells that Shakuntala will come out of that curse if she shows the signet ring given to her by the king. So this secret is held by Priyamvada till the moment Shakuntala is about to leave the ashram, when she is going to meet her husband in his capital. At that point of time, Priyamvada reveals, she does not reveal about the curse, because she is afraid that Shakuntala may feel very bad. This is also important in friendship. There is a quotation in Sanskrit, Satyam bruyat, Priyam bruyat, na bruyat, Satyam apriyam. We have to speak out the truth, but at the same time, that truth should be a pleasant truth. We should never tell the truth openly, that truth which is not very pleasant. So in this case, being a very good friend to Shakuntala, Priyamvada is not telling the original truth. What was the original truth? The truth was that she was cursed. Even Dushyanta was cursed so as to forget her. But this curse is hidden from Priyamvada because of her name itself represents Priyamvada. She speaks good things. But at the same time, she is cautious. How is she cautious? She knows this curse, and she tells to Shakuntala to show the ring given by the king to her when she goes to the court, if he does not recognize her. So it is a hint that Priyamvada is giving to Shakuntala. This shows that she is a responsible friend, and she carries out her duty of friendship very successfully. So this is how both Priyamvada and Anasuya are supporting to each other, and they are the supporting roles. They are the companions, very good companions. They have close friendship with Shakuntala, and it is only with these two young women Shakuntala is revealing all her secret feelings. In fact, for the union between Dushyanta and Shakuntala, these women become very important. They carry the message from Dushyanta to Shakuntala, from Shakuntala to Dushyanta in the beginning acts. So their role is equally important in the play. So they are shown to be epitome of friendship. They are shown to symbolize good friendship between people. On the other side, let us now discuss the character of Vidushaka. Vidushaka, what is the meaning of Vidushaka? We all know. Vidushaka means a joker or a comedian. Literally, he is not a comedian to laugh at. I mean, the dialogues are funny. The dialogues of Vidushaka are funny, but he is not just there only to make us laugh. He has some other role to play. Although his behavior, his talks, his way of conduct may look funny, it may make us laugh, but at the same time, he is a very good friend. He also possesses the qualities of a good friend, just like Priyamvada and Anasuya. He is a very good friend to Dushyanta, the king, and it is only in Vidushaka king can confide his feelings easily. His role is not much in the play. He comes and plays a major role in act number 2 to give us some relief, some comic relief in the play. It is probably an addition of Kalidasa in this drama. Then you have the character of Kanva Rishi. This character is important because he is the foster father of Shakuntala. Shakuntala was left by Vishwamitra because he was a sage, and he did not want to get the blame of being a father even though he was a sage. So he had left his child somewhere in the forest, and she was discovered by Kanva. Kanva in fact took real care of this girl right from her childhood, and she becomes his favorite child. In this play, we see Kanva's important as a sage. In the first 3 acts, Kanva is not seen in the active role because he has gone somewhere to offer some sacrifices or worship to God. And what is he doing for, or doing it for? He is doing it for the well-being of his daughter Shakuntala. So we can see him as a very caring and concerned father who is really worried about his daughter Shakuntala. He comes into action in act number 4, wherein in this act already there has been a secret marriage between Dushyanta and Shakuntala in the absence of Kanva. But here it is very important that he comes to know with his divine knowledge. He has some supernatural powers. Being a sage, he had done a lot of penance, and with that penance he had got secret powers through which he could understand the things which have not happened in front of his eyes. So when he comes back to the ashram, through his Divya Drishti, we call it the intuitional knowledge, through his Divya Drishti, he understands that Shakuntala is already married, and he feels happy because she is married to a very good man, a noble man. And immediately he starts arranging for the departure of Shakuntala to her husband's house. Here also we see him as a responsible father. He knows that his daughter is now married and her place belongs in her husband's house. So even though he has emotional attachments towards his daughters, even though the daughter has not married in front of him, he is quite open-minded enough to send her to her husband's house with happiness. So he is arranging for her departure, for a safe journey to the palace of Dushyanta. And in this act itself, in act number 4 itself, we see how Kanva, Rishi Kanva, is giving advices to his daughter about the life after marriage, about her responsibilities as a wife, as a mother in the later phase. So he is telling her everything that is required for a good household life. And we have to understand here that in those times, all the people in India, they gave a lot of respect to the ashrama system of life, and Grihastha ashrama was one of the most important ashram or phases in one's life. So Kanva is giving her advice, suggestions and teachings about how one should behave in the Grihastha ashrama, how she has to take the responsibilities as a woman, as a wife, as a manager of the whole household in her husband's place. So this uh, transmission of knowledge, the traditional knowledge, we can see from Kanva to his daughter Shakuntala. This is how Kanva takes leave of his daughter who is going to her husband's place, and thereby he is shown to be very emotional about his daughter, how he cries when she is leaving the ashram. So we see him as a typical father, as an ideal father in act number 4, and his active role is in act number 4 only. Before that, he is not seen in the drama. Then the other characters, Gautami. Gautami is a senior female ascetic. She is also like a motherly figure for Shakuntala. She also gives her advices about how one should behave in the husband's house. Then we have the minor characters like Maricha, Matali. Matali is the one who comes with Indra's chariot. He comes twice in the play, once in act number 6 and then in act number 7. He is like a messenger of Indra. His role is not very so important in the play. He is a minor character. And then Maricha, we see him at the end. Maricha is again a sage who gives blessings to both Dushyanta and Shakuntala for their happy married life in the future. And Menaka and Sanumati also play some important role in this drama. Menaka being the actual mother of Shakuntala, she takes care of Shakuntala when she is rejected by the king in the court. When she was not accepted by Dushyanta, Menaka comes as a nymph and takes back Shakuntala to her celestial abode. This shows that Menaka was a responsible mother as well. And then we have Sanumati, who is a friend to Menaka. She is acting like a spy. She wants to know the feelings of the king Dushyanta, whether he really misses his wife, whether he has forgotten about his wife, whether he is still thinking of Shakuntala. So she is sent by Menaka to keep an eye on the activities of the king. Then the role of fisherman is also important, because of this fisherman who comes with that ring of the king. We see that king is able to recognize Shakuntala. He had forgotten everything about her because of the curse, but now when he recovers the ring from the fisherman, he is able to recognize Shakuntala once again. There is another aspect to fisherman's character. Now fisherman is shown to be a very true, an honest man who represented the people, citizens in the kingdom of Dushyanta, thereby showing that all the people in Dusyanta's times, when Dushyanta was ruling, people were happy with his rule, people were honest, and people were good in the times of Dushyanta. So the success of the king also depends on the good behavior of the people. It is reflected in the good behavior of the people. This is what Kalidasa meant to say hiddenly in the episode of Fisherman. So these are the important characters in the play Abhignana Shakuntala. Main characters we have already discussed yesterday, and now we will look at the themes, the major themes and minor themes of the play Abhignana Shakuntala. Basically, this is all a huge love story, a very famous love story full of romance. So love becomes a very important and most important theme in the play. Then I need not explain you how this theme is seen in the drama, because almost all the episodes, all the acts in this drama show different shades of love. In the first act, we see how as lovers they are confused, the initial phase of love, how they are confused to express their feelings towards each other. That is shown in act number 2. Their confusion, their love sickness is shown. In the third act, their marriage, ultimately their love is coming out in the form of marriage. This is shown as an aspect of love. And then in act number 4, there is separation, and during this separation, how Shakuntala feels so sad because of this separation. So we call it Viraha Vedane. That is also an aspect of love that is shown in act number 4. In act number 5, King's King is lovesick again when he comes to know that it might be his wife Shakuntala. He misses her. In act number 6, again this missing or Viraha. In act number 7, they reunite and the whole family is happy once again. So basically, in almost all the acts, the theme of love is represented in different shades. It might be through pain of separation, it might be through love sickness, it might be through the expression of passion, emotions, it might be through the secret ways of expressing the feelings. So in many ways, the theme of love and romance is shown in the drama in almost all the acts. That is the most important theme in the play, and in fact Kalidasa wanted this play to be a romantic one. So this becomes the most important theme in the play Abhignana Shakuntala. And then another theme which is very important here, which also runs across many acts of the play. I would not say all the acts contain this particular theme, that is the description of nature. We see Kalidasa not just as a romantic poet, but in fact he is truly a nature poet. Because right from the beginning, there is the prelude. In the prelude, there is description of nature by Sutradhara and his companion actress. Then in act number 1, we see lots of descriptions of nature in the garden. The garden of Kanva's hermitage is described, how Shakuntala was taking care of each and every plant, how nature symbolized love, how that forest and that garden symbolized romance in the nature. All these things are shown, and Shakuntala is shown to be a nature lover in act number 1, 2, and again coming back in act number 6, when Dushyanta is missing Shakuntala, he again retreats to his garden. Why does he do that? Because here nature is not just a silent setting to the drama. It also plays a major role of enhancing the mood of romance. Because now the king is missing Shakuntala and he remembers everything about Shakuntala. He remembers the first episode where he met Shakuntala in that forest. And when he remembers Shakuntala, he goes inside the garden which is nearby his own palace. Why does he go? Why does he do that? He could have stayed in his palace and would have remembered Shakuntala. But no, he is going into that garden in order to relive that experience. So that garden is not attached, it is not there just as a mute observer, but it has a lot of attachments with other things. Here the garden represents the meeting of the first meeting of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So it is verily a symbol of love for him. When he misses Shakuntala, he goes into his garden and there he starts drawing the picture of Shakuntala. One more important thing here about this natural world is shown, wherein Dushyanta is chasing a deer. Here, the deer which was there in the hermitage of Rishi Kanva also signifies the romantic mood of the forest, how the mood of love was set through nature is shown there. Again, there is another natural element which is described, that is of the bee. A bee, we know Brahmara, meaning a bee is always roaming near a flower to capture the honey. This is also taken as a symbolic element of love. Here, in act number 1, there is this scene when Dushyanta is observing Shakuntala spending her time in the garden with her friends. And at that time, there is a Dumbi or a bee is moving continuously nearby Shakuntala. And the king is feeling jealous of that bee because that bee is near to Shakuntala. So here, Shakuntala is represented as a flower. She is symbolized to be a flower, which again represents love or romance. So the elements of deer and bee also reflect the feeling of love and romance. So here completely the theme of nature and the description of natural world, it completely symbolizes or it supports this theme of romance. We have to just think like this: if we remove all these descriptions of nature, then how would be this drama? It would be a dry drama. There would be romance between the people, but there would not be the mood which has been created by this natural world effectively in this drama. That is why we have to appreciate the efforts of Kalidasa. He has not just brought that mood of romance only in human beings. He has also brought that mood of romance, of love in the season, because in the beginning it describes the beautiful season of the springtime, the Vasanta Rutu. All the beautiful flowers are described, the chirping of birds are described, the activities of animals are described. So even nature reflects the human moods, human emotions. This is what Kalidasa wanted to convey, and he used all these natural elements to support the whole theme of the play Abhijnana Shakuntala. And again, Shakuntala's love for nature is shown in the episode where she is leaving her father's ashram. This is how the description of nature or the human connections with the natural world are represented very beautifully in this play. Further, there is one more very important theme, that is the struggle between love and duty, or in other words, it is the struggle between kama and dharma and kama. Okay, dharma does not mean any religious ideology. Dharma means one's duty here, and kama means one's desires. So this conflict between duty and love are shown in many episodes of this drama. In act number 1, the king comes to the hermitage and falls in love with Shakuntala, and the story continues there. Here, when he looks at Shakuntala, he feels like remaining in that ashram. Even though he is a king of Hastinapur, he has to go there, right? But he is slowly forgetting, we feel that he is slowly forgetting his duties as a king there, because he is all the time thinking of Shakuntala in that hermitage. So this is a conflict, whether to attend the duties in the palace or to attend his duties towards his love, that is in conflict. This does not happen only for Dushyanta, but it also happens for Shakuntala, especially in act number 4. Durvasa comes, it was her duty to take care of Durvasa, who has come as a guest, but she forgets her duty when she is thinking of her lover Dushyanta, and this is how she fails to attend to both of her duties, which are equally important in life. There are many episodes which represent the conflict between love and duty. In act number 2, in act number 2, there is a conversation happening between Dushyanta and Vidushaka. And towards the end of this act, the king gets a message from Karabaka, from the capital, saying that king's mother wanted him to attend the ritual. But at the same time, here, the king wanted to be with Shakuntala. Now there is this conflict, whether to stay in the ashram or to go back to the capital city. Now, what the king decides is to stay in the ashram because that ritual was not so very important or not so urgent. So he sometimes we see him dropping his duties for the sake of love, for the feelings of love. Then, but he has one more duty to perform in the ashram. So duty sometimes becomes an excuse also for king to experience the pleasures of love. Here in the ashram he is staying there with an excuse that the ascetics, the assistants of Kanva Rishi have asked him to stay in the ashram because they know that he is a powerful king and he can help them in fighting against the evil spirits. So here for Dushyanta it becomes a very good excuse to stay in touch with Shakuntala. On one side there is this conflict, on the other side duty itself becomes an excuse for love. So this frequent conflict between love and duty, dharma and kama, are shown in the play Avidya Shakuntala. But of course, king does not forget his duties completely because of his love. In fact, he attends to his duties in the act number towards the act number 3, end of act number 3, he goes back to his capital because he has his duties as a king to handle there. And also he promises Shakuntala that he would come back to take her as his queen. But later he forgets, and his forgetting of Shakuntala may be attributed to two things. One, it may be because of his the curse given by Durvasa, or he might have been busy in his own duties as a king in Hastinapur, thereby he might have forgotten about Shakuntala. So there are two possibilities, but if we show the second possibility, then we have to blame the king, but hero is not to be blamed. So we take it like this, that it is because of Durvasa's curse the king had forgotten about Shakuntala. Later, King Dushyanta also attends his duties as a king when he goes to the help of Indra at the end of act number 6. So we can say that both Dushyanta and Shakuntala were able to manage this conflict to some extent. Sometimes they failed to manage this conflict, sometimes they succeeded in doing this, but ultimately this conflict will be seen throughout the play in almost all the acts. So this is very important theme, the theme of love and duty clashing with each other. And then there is another important theme, that is of fate and supernaturalism. This is very commonly seen in almost all the epics of the world. Supernaturalism is a very strong component of epics. Where do we find this supernaturalism? Supernaturalism is when the king has some divine qualities in him, when the king is assisted by some divine powers, when some magical things take place in the story. All these things are supernatural. So there are some episodes wherein supernaturalism is seen. One, it is seen when Shakuntala is taken away by Menaka in the form of light. So this is something unnatural, unusual that is happening. That is why we call it supernaturalism. So this is a divine power which is helping Shakuntala. In fact, even on the other side, Dushyanta is also showing some supernaturalism because he is a friend to Indra, and Indra sends a divine chariot for Dushyanta to come in, and Dushyanta flies to heaven in that chariot. So this is also another supernatural element which is shown in this drama. And then another supernaturalism is the superpowers of Rishi Kanva. Kanva, with his divine powers, understands that both Dushyanta and Shakuntala are married to each other. Later in the drama, in act number 7, we see supernaturalism coming even in the next generation. The boy, little boy, Sarvadamana, who is who is actually Bharat, but in this play he is named as Sarvadamana. He is the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. He even has some superpowers. How do we recognize this? He is, being a small child of about 5 to 6 years, he is already playing with lion and lion cubs, which is actually unimaginable for any human being. We can play with dogs, we can play with cats, but a small child of 5 or 6 years is already playing with lion and its cubs. So this also is a supernatural power which is shown in the drama. And then the role of fate. So that aspect is over now. Supernaturalism is over. Act of fate, or the theme of fate in the drama, it also plays an important role. And both Dushyanta and Shakuntala fall prey to the act of this fate. One, the episode where Durvasa curses Shakuntala for her irresponsible behavior, and the curse coming true when she goes to the ashram, when she goes to the capital of the king has forgotten everything about Shakuntala. And she has to suffer there in his kingdom as a destitute. So this shows how the role of fate is shown to be very strong in this play. Even though she is a queen, she has to suffer like this. And what is the reason? It is nothing but fate. And then another episode where the power of fate is shown. She was having the ring with him when she left the ashram of her father. But during the journey, unfortunately, the ring is lost and it goes into the stomach of a fish. Here also she is unaware of the things that are happening around her. So this is also an act of fate which causes trouble to her. And the ring is lost in the river. The ring would have helped her in convincing the king that she is his wife. This is how the role of fate. And then in act number 6, how king also suffers because of his fate. In his fate, this separation was already there, separation with his wife, and he has to suffer the pain of separation for a few years. That we see in act number 6. This is how even the role of fate is shown to be very prominent in this drama. There are some more themes in the drama, minor themes, which we will discuss in the next video. Thank you so much.